if the owner sees me and he gets proud, he should be proud. Do you know how much this car costs? It costs $500,000, and if he earned the money, he should enjoy the luxuries in life. And there's nothing wrong in that.
I was also a tiger mom because my daughter aced so well, top 3 in school, that kind, in class. This boy didn't. When I teach him mathematics, he's like, "Mommy, this is plus." No, it's not. Minus? No. Times? No. And my cane came out. I caned him, and it made me realize one thing. Caning is not the solution. Yeah, and I nearly injured him. And it brought me back to the time when he was a baby. He's a difficult baby more because of that time health issue. He went through 2 operations. I remember it was SARS period. I was the only one in the hospital. At the point of time when he went through the second time of the operation, I was like, I blame myself for it. Yeah, okay, because the first one wasn't successful and he has to go through the second time. So I blame myself for it, why I let him suffer, and I prayed to say that I just need a happy and healthy baby. Yet, this healthy baby grew up to be happy. I was the one who injured him and made him unhappy. So that's where I asked myself this question, what did I do, to this kid? That's where that day itself, I had that reflection and I said, you know what, every child is different. He can grow up differently and be as beautiful, as perfect as a child who maybe will grow in a different way.
And maybe if I were to give one analogy,
Yes.
right? When we look at nature, I always use nature. You just walk outside. There's such a variety of trees.
Yes.
If we could liken, right? Like, if we assume, let's say I say tree now, for you, what's a tree that comes to mind? A species.
Hard tree,
Just any tree.
Palm tree.
Palm tree, right?
Yeah.
But if I say tree to someone else, they may think Anzana tree. Another one may think, those that has the roots hanging down. So I think very often parents, me included, we have such a narrow view of how parenting or our kids should be. And when our kids, let's say I'm expecting a palm tree, right? Doesn't grow up with palm tree leaves. In fact, the leaves are red color. I'll begin, you are wrong, you are abnormal. But I think if we begin to just chill and allow nature to take its course, right? Look at the variety of the species. And if we were all meant to be the same, so boring, huh? But if we can begin to allow the kids to grow into the fullness of who they were intended to be, I think that is a celebration of life.
I know you are not just a mother. You also take on different roles. Do you run your own company? I understand you run your own
Yes, so
company.
now Mom Space.
Yeah, right. So you are also an entrepreneur. Yeah. So how do you juggle with business and family? And I heard your helper left like 3 months ago.
Yeah.
So you have to do like household chores as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We have 24 hours a day, Hamon. We have only a pair of hands. How do you manage that?
So I think, simply put, I think when the kids were very young, I was very clear that I wanted to bring up independent children. Because I think one of the greatest disservice that a lot of parents may unconsciously do is we shelter our kids so much that they grow up no good earthly value. So how that came about is me and my husband. 2 of us, right, in the house. Guess who do the household chores? Me. And then when I'm heavily pregnant, still me, because he doesn't know how to. So fight lah. And then I'm like, your mother never teach you. He say no. I'm like, wow, I'm gonna make sure that we don't repeat that in this house. So I think even from young, right, I always taught my kids how to be independent, right? Like take up your own diaper, throw. So I think setting a good precedence from the start. Even today, my 3-year-old boy. So naturally depending age appropriate, right? Like when we go grocery, that was before COVID, even the boy, he will carry a plastic bag of bread. I don't care. You carry something, you carry something. And now at home at 3 years old, he washes his own bowl. So we have different chores that is spread out. And my heart of doing that is to equip the kids with life skills. Yes. Because that's the reality in life. Life is not always about fun and excitement. It's the mundane of doing household work, right? And if I don't train them in that, right, then I think that's the greatest disservice, one of the many.
Yeah, and at 7 years old, I start to teach them how to iron their own school uniform. And when I first get them to iron their own school uniform at like primary 1, my mother-in-law got a shock of his life because his children never know how to iron clothes, even at 40 years old.
Wow.
So let's talk a little bit about the Mom Space, which inspires me actually to start this WOW series, Women of Wealth, because I really think that that was a really great event in the midst of the COVID to encourage especially women. So Junia, maybe you can share with us a little bit more about this event called Mom Space.
Yeah, so the 5 areas are relationship with, first myself, and then with my spouse, my kids, my wealth, and my health as well. So these are the 5 areas that we covered, 1 theme per day.
Wow. And this event, I know because that time it was run in hotel, and do you make money from it?
So that's the thing, right? No. A simple answer. It's not just didn't make money, it's pay out of pocket too, you know. So you know when people say, you know when you're passionate about something, when you will do something for free, this one even more passionate because I pay to do this. But I think the intent of it was really, it was one conversation where a mom told me that her friend's primary 6-year-old son wanted to commit suicide.
Oh.
And in that moment, I was just so sad. I mean, I was so sad, right, that my hands went cold. And I was like, I know PSLE is stressful, but to the point that a 12-year-old child would think that suicide is an option. I mean, in that moment, I was like, what can I do? What can we do as we send out messages of hope? So I told the moms, I remember it was an online session, I was like, shall we do something? They all said to me, let's do a summit. And when? And ideally, I wanted it to be before PSLE results because I wanted to elevate the stress because I understand where moms come from. It's a good space, right? Moms only want the best for their children, but sometimes the method may not justify.
Yes.
So simply put, across 5 days, we got 42 different experts. And I always say that when our hearts are in a good space, the universe conspires to help us. So 90%, like you are one of them, more than 90% of these experts I didn't know. And I reached out to people and asked them, do you want to make a difference together? And that's the birth of Mom Space. So in my mind, it was just a one-off project. I didn't think of monetizing. For me, for it to be a success, is really if somebody watch and decide, hey, maybe I should relook at my relationship with my child, or maybe I can do something about my wealth. That would have been success for me.
But then again, money is important, right? Without money, I would say you can't run this event. Somebody has to sponsor it. So let us know a little bit about, in terms of finances. Okay, because to raise a kid in Singapore, we all say, right, it maybe takes $1 million to raise a kid. You got 5. You need about 5 million to raise 5 children. Yeah, in Singapore, so-called the most expensive city in the world. Yeah. Yes. So how do you then manage the finances in your family?
Like I wrote for this, I think Singapore Motherhood before, or was it Money Online or something, where they asked me how many sets of clothes we have, right? And I very candidly say, last time when first kid, buy a lot. But the reality is, no matter what you buy, the kids will go back to the same few favorites that they have. So no need to have more than 5 sets of outing clothes. That's the reality, because how often do you go out the weekends? And they will, even if you buy them 20, they will just go back to the same few. So that's one, unconventional way that I'm like, okay, you know what, let's just buy what you like. And then after that, we
pass it down?
Either pass it down or, how do I say, when they're young, they grow very quickly, but after that, no, okay? That's one. The other area that I think we save a lot is tuition or enrichment. So yes, we started, being a young mom, signed my daughter up for Shichida, costing thousands of dollars. But as I grew as a mom, right, I realized that what kids really want is us. Mm-hmm. What they really need is our time. Yes. I mean, you can imagine, we work, go back, still must do online class. And then over the weekend, your boss calls you, hey, come and do, we got extra training for you. I mean, kids today are growing up exhausted mentally, and why do we subject them to that? So for us, the weekends we play. I mean, before COVID, we would go out as a family, we would go to parks, we would just enjoy ourselves. Because I think, this is something I want to say. A lot of us grow up like tadpole. Tadpole, big head, undeveloped body, then wriggle. But that's not holistic, right? So what if you have all the knowledge in the world and you don't develop your limbs as how it is like to be a human being, to be in contribution, to live life like fully? So to me, I'm like, let's grow up like with muscles, the muscles of determination, perseverance, or skill sets in life, whether it's collaboration, people skills, EQ, empathy. These are so important. And I think one of the good things that I did when I was younger in my first job is as I made money, I invested it. So a lot of
you do investment.
Yes. So a lot of people ask me, Junia, how do you survive? You said it right, Singapore is the most expensive city.
Yes.
For me, I think it's really investment. So my only regret is I wish I had invested a lot more because, it's a journey, right? So I invested. So every time a child is born, I actually take a hiatus, like a few years off, just to anchor them. Just to spend time with them. So I know you say like today, but through the 15 years, I was a working mom as well. So my previous job 3 years ago, I was a regional director for APAC, which means I fly around, and I loved it, right?
With 4 kids.
Then with four kids and then the baby in the stomach. I fly around. Happily, when I go to the hotel, the whole bed is mine. Buffet breakfast, really enjoying meeting people of different cultures. While connecting home, so then we would do calls. So I think really it's, if we understand the skill of making our money work harder for us, we can then spend time with our kids, right? We can then spend time on what truly matters. And really money is just a means to an end. So why slog so hard?
Yeah. So probably the last question I would ask you, which I ask all my guests, what is wealth to you?
Wow. I would define wealth in 3 areas, right? Wealth is really, like the Chinese have it, wealth is abundance, right? And really, number 1, health. So I really am grateful for the body that I have, for my peak health. So I can run after them, I can have fun. Second one would really be the quality of the relationships. So I came from a family that was comfortable, but no point if there's silence or there's always arguing. So 3-story, but it's so quiet. There's no love, there's no warmth. I would rather a smaller physical home, but there's laughter, there's joy, there's celebration, there's affirmation. So a quality of relationship, and must have money. So the last one, right, I would still say must have money. So I'm one of those who believes that we are born in life to have it all. You can have it all. You can have your cake and eat it. And I think it's all really a mindset shift. I used to, I remember when I was younger, I used to think rich people show off. So one day I remember with my dad at Hyatt Hotel, they park those cars outside. I think it was a Porsche or a Lamborghini. As I passed, and then I quickly turned my head. Then my father said, nice car. And then he touched the car, I'm like, Daddy, after the owner see you, then the owner get proud. I was telling my father. Then my father looked at me. So if the owner sees me and he gets proud, he should be proud. Do you know how much this car costs? It costs $500,000, and if he earn the money, he should enjoy the luxuries in life. And there's nothing wrong in that. And in that moment, I'm like, I respect my dad, and I'm like, and he said, sometimes when we look at people with a lot more, we don't celebrate for them. And it's no wonder that you're always stuck with the little that you have. But if you begin to celebrate, like truly be happy for people who have a lot more for you, your scarcity mindset shifts into abundance, where there's more than enough, where there is no more competition, but there is instead a synergy, a creation that comes out of that.
So thank you, Junia, for sharing with us today your life story and letting us know the importance of the 3 health, be it financial health, emotional health with our family, and also most importantly our physical health as well. When we have a good body, we can take care of ourselves, we love ourselves, we can take care of people, our loved ones around us. So thank you for joining us today, and ladies, thank you for joining me, and audiences as well, for this episode. I hope you have enjoyed as much as me, and I would like to see you in the next episode for the WOW series, The Women of Wealth.
Fail, F-A-I-L. As many times, the more the better, because I think often, right, especially in Singapore, we grow up in a society where we're afraid to fail, where we only raise our hands if we think we have the right answer. But that's exactly, our relationship with failure is not a positive one, it's a negative one. So then we bring up a generation of kids who are afraid to make mistakes. To me, one of the things that I always do at the dining table, how did you fail today? And then initially when I first started, they look at me like, Mommy, why so negative? I'm like, if you didn't fail today, your life's so boring, means you live within the same few circles. You didn't try a different way walking home. You didn't speak to someone whom you never normally wouldn't. You didn't attempt something that is out of your reach. If you continue to do that, like all the big people, the people who have made it, right? Whether Elon Musk or we talk about Jack Ma, their relationship with rejection is a very powerful one. They fail so many times, call it Nama, they just keep going out, taking calculated risks, learning, being true to who they are. So one motto that I would have is really fail as many times. Encourage your kids to fail. Lead by example. I think that's something that would really tip the scales to growing a generation that is inspired to be true to who they are. Yeah. Instead of following the mold. So boring.